All right, we're back at it again. All right, seeing a place to be. Ric Serritella here on this Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. It's our 32nd edition of the All Access Football Daily Show as we just keep on rolling through the days. We're live 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. You're home for real football talk, and we got a jam-packed show for you today. So excited to bring it to you here, and we're going to get it all in. The NFL, college football, NFL draft. But we're going to start off with our first guest of the day in just a moment because the Chicago Bears are on a bye week. So we're going to get the latest lowdown on Mr. Personality, Ben Johnson and company in just a moment. Also, later on in the show, we'll have our Thursday night football prediction. We are rocking and rolling here on the season. We are now 37-25 against the spread year to date. So we'll try to get on the board with a W tonight. Got a lot to get to in this jam-packed edition of the All Access Football Daily Show. And, you know, there's a lot of good beat reporters and writers in Chicago. It's a major media market. But when it comes to the Chicago Bears, and I tell you, nobody has more sources and is locked on Chicago than our next guest, making his All Access Football debut, by the way. We're so happy to have him. He is Ben Devine. You can follow him at Chicago_NFL. Ben, good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Morning. How we doing, Rick?
We're doing good, man. I love getting the inside scoop from guys who know a lot of stuff because you are certainly tapped in. I don't know, you beat the beat writers to all the major punchlines. So if you're listening at home, you're just being introduced to Ben for the first time, go give him a follow. And we're going to get right into it, Ben, because Chicago, they've been a big storyline here in the start of the NFL season. A lot of excitement with Ben Johnson coming in. We saw the interview, didn't exactly go as he had planned. And I don't fault him for that entirely. And I saw you put out a tweet there. It's, really an unprofessional reporter that the NFL likes to employ there on the sidelines. And you can touch base on that if you want, but give us a general feel overview of what it's like so far with the Ben Johnson experience in Chicago.
Yeah, and he's just so intense. I think he's kind of learning into the, growing into the job a little bit because he was obviously frustrated with the first half. He's one of those guys you could tell he's, just intense in everything he does. And I don't know if those halftime interviews are really, set up really for any particular benefit for the game. I mean, if as fans, I don't know if that's going to be, exactly too helpful. And I'm sure he could probably grow into a little bit better role there. I think he did apologize just this week for his reaction as well. But no, he's been everything I think that Chicago fans have wanted, and I think that the team needed. The team needed accountability. The team needed structure. And I think you're seeing it. He has grown into the role, not just being an offensive coordinator, but now being a head coach. And I think that there's some really good signs here, especially on the offensive end and the work he's doing with some of the young players, Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams. That's really going to be the key heading forward. And the defense, is got some issues as well. But I think if I could give him a grade, I think I'd give him a solid B so far, his work. He's got to learn a little bit, some of the game management stuff, but I think he's been excellent at end of quarters. His timeout situation, that was sorely lacking under Matt Eberflus. But we've seen a big step forward, at least in the accountability and the intensity for the players. And I'll tell you, we were having this conversation a little bit just amongst a couple of the writers here. The Sunday's game against Las Vegas was a game that the Chicago Bears would have lost. I mean, last 3 years, there were so many games that the Bears should have won, but they just lost. And this was kind of the flip script. This was kind of a game they probably should have lost, but they ended up pulling out. And I think that goes to a long way toward the coaching and Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I was curious because you mentioned he's an intense guy. And from the outside looking in, sometimes it's almost like he's too rigid. Like that whole introductory press conference and the Bears facility, it felt like somewhat uncomfortable, or he was forcing himself to be somebody who he's not. Maybe that's just his personality. I'm not tapped in like you on the daily basis. But I guess the follow-up to that also is just, Caleb Williams, he challenged him early on publicly.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
just curious, how are the players and specifically Caleb Williams responding to this type of coaching?
Yeah. Boy, that was the question too, you know? I mean, that old school,
Yeah.
really hard nosed, and he's been extremely tough on the players and even the veterans. You know, you wonder how they're going to take that, you know, in a 2025 locker room. I think especially now, I don't know. I don't know how all the veterans have liked it. I don't think behind closed doors they're all too thrilled with how hard he pushed them. And he did. He pushed them pretty hard through training camp in the offseason. I do think, though, that the younger players it was good for. I think Caleb Williams has really taken to it. First of all, I think he's needed that. He needed more structure than he had last season. Caleb Williams was kind of left to freelance. I mean, I remember when they came in and they asked Caleb Williams, you know, which foot you want to have forward, right foot or left foot, and he wasn't really coached. And so Ben Johnson came in and said, no, we're switching all that. We're going to put you under center. We're going to teach you cadence, and we're going to really give you. I mean, we're going to make you drink from the fire hose, so to speak. And the playbook has not been easy. It has not been easy. Case Keenum said, I mean, this is the toughest playbook that he's ever had to learn, and he's been around quite a few locker rooms. But I feel that it's coming along pretty well, especially with what we're seeing on third downs and Caleb Williams, some of the difficult throws that he's making. We can definitely see some growth there, and I think that's because Caleb Williams is taking to some of this hard coaching, and it's a good sign.
Yeah, I think you've really seen him come into fruition the last couple of weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
you make a great point because I do, and I hate to use this word, but I do feel like even at USC, Caleb Williams was kind of coddled, right?
Yep, he was.
And
Yeah,
so, like now, he's getting real coaching. And I did worry a little bit about the the first time head coaches. They come in, they want to call the plays, they want to
yeah,
manage the game, they want to be the CEO. It seems a little bit overwhelming, but it sounds like Ben Johnson has it under control. And I got a fellow Rutgers backfield mate there, and Kyle Monangai, who I think is going to be eating into the carries of
yes,
DeAndre Swift, right? Because the run game, I saw you tweeting it out over there on the Twitterverse at Chicago_NFL. It's been a little bit of a mixed bag in the run game.
yeah. They've struggled, especially on their first and second down runs. I mean, every team they're going against so far, they're getting beat by quite a bit in the running game, and that's hard to sustain. It's hard to win in the league when you're getting outrushed. I think they were outrushed Sunday, 240 to 69 or something like that, and it was not pretty. And yeah, I think they need something else in the running game, especially between the tackles. And I would fully expect for Monangai to really start eating into more of DeAndre Swift's carries coming out of the bye week. And you're seeing it league wide, really. I mean, how many rookie running backs are coming right out of the gate with 20 carries a game? Even the ones that were drafted high in such a really a very good running back class, some of them are being slowly increased in their workload and brought along pretty slowly. So, and I think that's the same with Monangai. And really, it's just a two horse back here because, I'm not seeing anything from Roschon Johnson. I don't even think he has a carry this year. So it's pretty much DeAndre Swift and the rookie. And as he picks up more of the game and obviously pass blocking situations, I think that you're going to see more and more of him as the season progresses.
Yeah, and I felt like he was a good value pick because I think people got down on him with the poor 40-yard dash time. I think he came in at 4.62, and amazingly enough, I remember he did not run another 40 at the pro day. Like he seemed content with that. He was like, hey, you know what? I am who I am. And I like Monangai, though. He gets the tough between the tackles yardage that I think will just toughen up the Bears offense. All right, let's talk a little bit on defense because Grady Jarrett's been taking a lot of criticism, and it's an early NFL 4 weeks in, but on paper, I mean, this looks like one of the worst offseason acquisitions in the entire NFL. And I know he's been banged up a little bit, but is there any light at the end of the tunnel for Grady Jarrett to turn it around here in Chicago?
Well, I mean, you hope that he wasn't just brought in as a leadership voice. They signed him for $50 million. I mean, that's a lot to pay just for leadership. But Yeah, he's been banged up, but I think the worst part, I mean, the problem has been when he's been on the field, the defense has been worse. They've been gashed in the running game, and so yeah, you hope that he can get back into form here. But I mean, we're talking a guy that's north of 30. This is not prime territory for defensive tackles. And there was a reason that the Falcons, thought he was expendable. And he was an instant signing. I mean, he was cut and then signed by the Bears the same day. And so it was something that the Bears really jumped on. And I don't know if he had too many other suitors. I really don't know. They probably just threw the bag at him. And I hope that he does, come out of this bye a little bit. Maybe he's just been a little bit banged up, and he was a little in camp, but that's going to be a rough one. The Bears put some major money. I mean, they signed Dayo Odengbo for some pretty big money as well. And their run game has really been porous. I mean, you saw it on Sunday. And Ashton Genty, boy, they were running over the defensive line. And if it weren't for all those interceptions by the secondary, they would have been looking at a 1-3 game here.
Yeah, Genty reverted back to the upward stance and suddenly become a gangbuster again. And we're talking to Ben Devine at Chicago_NFL. Does a great job covering the Chicago Bears. Does a great job covering the NFL draft. And we talked about Kyle Monangai, maybe an unsung hero. Any other under the radar rookies or unsung heroes on the Chicago Bears team we should be keeping an eye on?
Well, the rookies haven't really had much to contribute here, and the Bears were one of the few teams. They had 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, and a lot of those haven't really played much. Now, Colston Loveland has been injured, and I think you should expect more from Loveland when he comes back after the bye, and he should be back. And I think Luther Burden's going to take on more of a role here, and you could see it even in that. A week ago, you really saw him, come onto the scene against the Cowboys. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown, got that big, the big flea flicker pass there. But you're going to see him more involved, I believe. Something to look forward. And I keep saying it, and I said it this offseason when they drafted Luther Burden, when they drafted Colston Loveland with their top 2 picks, and I was very surprised. I was thinking offensive tackle, defensive end, running back. And I was very surprised they went with those guys. But I don't know exactly, and I've been saying it. I think the days of DJ Moore and Cole Kmet are numbered here on this team. And I don't know. I'm not looking for it to happen this midseason before the trade deadline. But I would really look for them to move off the team sometime this offseason, especially Cole Kmet. He's got an out right after this season, and those are your highest, really your highest 2 paid offensive players. And when you draft those guys that high, you're going to expect them to kind of contribute, especially there's a new coaching staff in town. This is Ben Johnson's staff. So especially the second half of the year, you do expect more from a top 10 pick in Colston Loveland and Luther Burden. So we'll see what Ben Johnson has cooked up for him.
Yeah, I was very surprised as well by the selection, and maybe not because it was a tight end, but more specifically, it was Loveland over Tyler Warren, right? I mean, that really turned my head and got my attention. And I'm not surprised to see that he's injured again because he was hurt there in his final year at Michigan. And I did give him a Heath Miller comparison coming out. So I do think he can be an effective player. But, that's the business decisions now that they're going to be forced to make because Cole Kmet can't afford both of those guys. And Moore has been an integral part of the offense, but I guess Rome Odunze, his step up in play is going to make the Bears offense have a new identity. So, before we get you out of here, oh, by the way, what was your take when they took Loveland? I had Warren higher. Did you not? Or?
Well, I went back and forth on them, but I repeatedly said that Loveland was the better fit for Ben Johnson.
Okay.
Sam Laporta comp was thrown around quite a bit. And you kind of saw that he was kind of the more move tight end than Warren was more like the Swiss Army knife that, and the Colts are using him quite effectively. I do think that the Bears would use him much more effectively. And I think they do have, the luxury the Colts don't have of having Cole Kmet, And so Colson Loveland, I think, would always have been behind the 8 ball, fantasy wise, I guess, for this season. So, but I think Ben Johnson really, really is going to put a lot onto Colson Loveland's plate. I think he's going to see some heavy targets, to be honest. Behind Rome Odunze, I would say that probably second half of the year, I would not be surprised if Colson Loveland is in the conversation for 2 or 3 for targets here.
Interesting. Great insight here with Ben Devine joining us here on the All Access Football Daily Show. Before we get you out of here, Ben, I do have to touch base on this new stadium proposal that the Bears have. And I see some fans are in an uproar because they're talking about putting a dome on the stadium. What? In Chicago? What?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the meatball Chicago fan. We're going to want Chicago Bears football in the rain, in the snow, although I think, to be fair about it, I think that's kind of the way that the league's going to be going. I mean, you're paying $500 for a ticket and you're going to sit outside, December on the lakefront.
Isn't that what home field advantage is all about, though? I mean,
but it's not where the league is going, and I understand that, we want that, but I think that the team is more interested also in not just football. I think that stadium is going to be a bigger draw for, Final Fours. I think that one of the reasons Chicago didn't get the Olympics, I think about 12 years ago, was they didn't have a domed stadium. And if they had one, they would have been at least a finalist, if not the finalist, for the World Olympics. And so it's more than just football. I think it's at play. Of course, the Bears want to host, maybe or Soldier Field wants to host a Super Bowl. Sure. But a dome's going to go a long way into making a lot more sense for Chicago being a destination, as it should be. I mean, look at all the events that are happening in Indianapolis because they have a dome. And Chicago should take a lot more of that. So it's beyond just the football. Although people are having problems, it looks a lot like Allegiant Stadium. And to be fair, I think the same architectural teams are doing the designs. So it might look a little similar. I don't know how much they've even going to reveal on that. But no, I think that's kind of where the league is going. You're competing against television. And, that's my thoughts on it anyway.
Yeah, well, a multi-venue, it seems like all the new stadiums now that are being talked about are going to include some kind of dome or retractable roof, and that's the big caveat, right? Is NFL says, hey, if you get a new stadium, you'll be in play or consideration for a Super Bowl. And in Chicago, I mean, we had one here in Jersey once upon a time in the Meadowlands, but having the dome obviously would increase their chances there. Hey, Ben, this has been great stuff. Tell the listening audience at home where to follow you, where to find your work, what you got cooking, and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, just find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, and just Chicago_NFL. And I just have just as much as I can, just getting your thoughts on the Chicago Bears primarily. But looking forward to hopefully the Cubs taking another step tonight as well. So I'm an All Access Chicago fan, but primarily a Bears fan. But appreciate you, Rick. Thank you for having me on the show, man. You need anything, just give me a holler, all right?
Yeah, same here, man. And I definitely look forward to having you on again down the road. And hopefully my Yankees can pull it out too with the Cubs, the Yankees. I went to Wrigley, by the way, when the draft was in Chicago.
Yeah.
I made the journey over to Wrigley Field. What a great experience. I mean,
it's great, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Just walking around that venue is like a museum.
Yeah, it's got its own atmosphere.
And you got the pipes hanging out of the ceiling. Like, it's unbelievable. I sat right behind home plate for like $50, which is about $5,000 cheaper than a Yankee Stadium ticket over here. And it was one of the coolest one of my coolest sports experience of all time. So, hey, man, appreciate the time. And I know you're going to be all over the Chicago Bears. Of course, they got the Washington Commanders, I believe, with you coming off the bye week there. And we'll tap into you somewhere down the road. All right, my man?
All right. Hey, take care, man. Anytime. I love it.
Awesome. All right, Ben Devine. Great stuff there when it comes to the Chicago Bears. And I'm glad we got a positive report because I was kind of on the fence about Ben Johnson. I wasn't really sure if his personality was going to be a fit, but you hear Ben say it's working just fine. And you saw the results with the Bears' big win a week ago. So great stuff out of Ben Devine, kicking off the All Access Football Daily Show here. It's a Tuesday. No, it's a Thursday. It's October 2nd, 2025. No days off. Some of these days just bleed right into the next and another. And it's our 32nd edition. You're home for real football talk. And we got so much more to get to, including NFL news and notes, college football landscape, NFL draft watch, Thursday night football prediction, and more right after this. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic, get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. All right, we're back at it again. All right, seeing the place to be. Ric Serritella, telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin here on the All Access Football Daily Show. We are live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. You're home for real football talk. And if you're just tuning in, we had our special guest for today, Ben Devine, over on X at Chicago_NFL. Did a great job giving us some insight and perspective on the Chicago Bears. Good to get a positive report out of Ben on Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, hearing good things about my Rutgers boy, Kyle Monangai, and of course the new stadium in Chicago that could have a dome. A little bit of different dynamics there going on in Chicago. So great stuff out of Ben. Tomorrow we're going to be doing our bi-week check-in reports, and we actually booked a second guest. We got 2 for the price of 1 tomorrow, and we're going to have Jason B. Hirschborn, who publishes The Leap over on Substack. Great stuff with the Green Bay Packers. He's going to give us a bye-week update on the Pack. And then we also have just confirmed Will McDonald The senior editor over at AtlantaFalcons.com, Will McFadden, will join us as well on tomorrow's show to give us an update with the Falcons. Okay, later on in the show, we're going to get our Thursday night football prediction, a lot of NFL news and notes to get to. But first, we turn our attention to the college football world, and we're going to squeeze in the NFL draft watch, both in this segment. So let's start off with the NFL draft watch. We've got some injuries to report on some very heavily prospects on the NFL draft radar, and we go out west to Oregon. And this is the byproduct of the transfer portal. And make sure you subscribe to InsideTheLeague.com. Our good friend Neil Stratton gave us some value picks books. We'll give some away later on in the show. But I also write the Business of Football report each week on the Inside the League wrap that goes out every Friday night. It's free to subscribe. Go over to InsideTheLeague.com. One of the things I talk about is the business of college football, the way it's trending, and the NIL transfer portal. You get dilemmas like this. Mekhi Hughes, okay, who transferred over from Tulane, was very high on the NFL draft radar coming into the season, All-American at Tulane. Well, grass isn't always greener on the other side, is it? So through 4 games, Hughes just has 17 carries for 70 yards. He's losing playing time to freshmen. And so he's decided now he's going to just sit out the rest of the season and redshirt. I don't like my playing time. I'm going to sit out. Well, it's an interesting development. Head coach Dan Lanning says they're going to honor the request of Hughes. And he did miss the 2022 season with an injury. So now he's going to have 2 years of eligibility by sitting out the rest of the season. However, when you look at the long-term projection and NFL scouts are evaluating you as a competitor, I mean, I get it. There's a business side to this decision. He wants to hold out and get a NIL payday, but your bigger payday will be in the National Football League. And if you have a problem competing and scouts start questioning your desire of how much you love the game, I mean, I'd give everything to just go out there and play each week, even if I only had 17 carries for 70 yards. I got to make the most of my opportunity. I got to do better and prove my worth. Not Mekhi Hughes. The going gets tough, and he hits the transfer portal, and now he'll have to wait until after the season and be a spectator now for the rest of the season for the Oregon Ducks. So Mekhi Hughes will redshirt the remainder of the season. Penn State linebacker Tony Rojas, and I just threw some kudos James Franklin's way after that disappointing loss against Oregon, and basically said, I don't think you're going to find a better candidate that can take them to the next level. But here's the thing that bothers me about Franklin. He plays too many games, especially when it comes to injuries. He's like a squirmy little worm up there that just is elusive and avoids tough questions. And it really, it's the one criticism I have. Now, Tony Rojas, we don't know what the injury is. James Franklin won't tell us. The school has remained quiet, but we do know he's going to miss significant time. And Rojas is really a spectacular sideline to sideline linebacker, a little bit undersized. He was a top 5 overall prospect at the linebacker position, but now this injury, which we don't know what it is going to miss significant time. And remember, he missed most of last season with a shoulder injury. And so now undersized, comes in at, I think, a shade under 6 foot, clearly a talented player, but you have to now ask yourselves, we had this conversation yesterday about Garrett Nussmeier, right? Well, same deal with Tony Rojas. You wonder about his durability moving on to the next level. But Tony Rojas, a very highly rated prospect, redshirt junior, I believe. So probably will come back for another season and try to improve his draft stock. All right. Over at Iowa State, man, they got dealt a real tough blow. It was announced yesterday. Man, you hate to see it. Jontez Williams suffered a torn ACL last Saturday, and then in practice this week, the other starting corner, Jeremiah Cooper, who actually made the switch from safety to cornerback and was having a phenomenal season, rising up our draft board on the cornerback rankings, was Jeremiah Cooper. He tears his ACL in practice. Tough blow there for the Cyclones. So amongst them, they've have 55 combined starts there. And now they're going to both be out for the season. Jontez Williams and Jeremiah Cooper, that is, for the Iowa State Cyclones. And we'll see what happens with their eligibility as well. So what else we got? We mentioned Penn State is going to be at UCLA this week. Well, UCLA, and this is one of the things I'm writing on the business of football. You got some teams out there like the Georgia Bulldogs. They've earned $200 million over the last 5 years with the transfer portal, NIL, donors. Then you got a program like UCLA who've lost $200 million over the last 5 years, and they're bleeding money over there in UCLA. It can't all be Deshaun Foster's fault, could it? Well, the next fall guy, the next domino has fallen as interim UCLA head coach has fired now. I think it's Tim Smith is the current UCLA coach interim. I just had it here this morning. I think it's Tim Smith. Well, he is got the firing squad line ready to go. Tino Sunseri out as the offensive coordinator, and Sunseri just a few games into the job, his first season there as the offensive coordinator. He came over from Indiana. He has been canned. Defensive coordinator Ikeka Malo was relieved of his duties when Deshaun Foster was dismissed there a couple weeks ago. So your new coordinators in UCLA is Kevin Coyle as the defensive coordinator and Jerry Neuheisel as the OC there. And he's been on the staff since 2018 with Chip Kelly coaching wide receivers. Last year he coached tight ends, and now he has been promoted to the offensive coordinator. Okay. Speaking of head coach openings, there's a video floating around online of John Gruden back when the Arkansas job was last open. Of course, Sam Pittman was relieved of duties there this week, and Gruden is on the video saying, "Hey, I'd love the Arkansas job." And I spoke about this on the Sports Rage podcast on Tuesday with my guy Gabriel Morency, and SEC might be a home run for John Gruden to land on his feet. And is he blackballed from the NFL? He's got that big lawsuit he won. It's going to go to the next round of courts. Will an owner take a chance on John Gruden? I don't know. I'd like to see it. I think Buffalo would be a great spot for him to get that team over the hump. But, man, should Arkansas offer Gruden, I think they paid Pittman $7 million to just go away this season. Well, Gruden would be a phenomenal hire. And I got one more college football note I want to get to here before we take a break and flip the script over to the NFL. We'll have Thursday Night Football prediction later on in the show. But this video I came across on the X Twitter platform of the Florida Gators 4-minute drill down 20-10 to LSU 2 weeks ago. It was pointed out that Billy Napier doesn't know the rules. And, we've talked about Napier being on the hot seat, and maybe that's a potential destination for John Gruden as well. But it's just unfathomable when you watch how Florida conducted their 4-minute offense. They're down 2 scores, 20-10, and they're driving down the field. They have the ball at about midfield. But Billy Napier doesn't know the rules. He thinks that the clock stops when you go out of bounds. Now, college football changed that rule. The clock only stops in the last 2 minutes of the half and the last 2 minutes of the game. But nobody knew the rules on the whole Florida Gators team, not even the quarterback. And here they are. And I'm sorry I don't have the source, but if you go and look for the Billy Napier footage, I mean, it's incredulous to just watch this happen. The clock keeps on ticking and ticking and ticking. I think Greg McElroy was on the call. Like, what are these guys doing? And they kept panning over to Napier on the sidelines. No awareness, no urgency, no clue on what's going on at all. And it really was an embarrassment to watch. And they're dinking and they're dunking and their receivers are running out of bounds. And the whole time the clock is running. It's just unbelievable. I don't know how this guy still has a job. And I don't think he's going to have a job for very much longer. It's just inexcusable to not know the rules. Bill Napier doesn't know the rules. They lost the game 20-13, by the way, but they had every opportunity to get right back in it. Just and DJ Lagway, what a disappointment he's been. I mean, they've talked about him being a potential first round pick for the 2027 NFL draft. I don't see it. So maybe Gruden lands in the SEC. The Florida watch is on. The Arkansas watch is on. Those are your college football and NFL draft news and notes. Now, before the break, we've been giving away some books courtesy of Neil Stratton over at InsideTheLeague.com. And Neil has made this is his third book. I've read them all. And this is a phenomenal book. If you're a fan of the NFL draft, you want to know how the sausage is made. Neil peels back the layers of the onion in this book with over 100 interviews from NFL general managers, front office executives, scouts. You've got testimonials here from George Patton, John Spytek, Les Snead, and Mike Martin. I dropped a couple in the mail yesterday. And we've also got the Canadips, courtesy of our new sponsor, Canadips. Okay, we've got all different flavors and mint ice and caramel, and these are like rocket fuel. If you're not familiar, go check them out over at canadips.com. But we're going to do a little promo giveaway package, and here's what you got to do. Okay, like, share, subscribe to the show wherever you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. That's easy. Okay, but now we're going to do a little combo package with the All Access Football Annual Pass. It's currently $30 on the website. Use our promo code RICVIP. You'll save 30%. That'll get you down to $20 on the year. Okay, it comes out to 54 cents a day, 2 quarters. We need your help. This is powered by the fans here. So if you want to support the show, this is how you do it. Go over to allaccessfootball.com, subscribe, like, share, subscribe to the show here. And we will include a free book, which goes for $15 on Amazon, and a free pack of Canadips. I think these go for about $35 a pack over on the website. So with the All Access Annual Pass, which gets you all of our insider content, and of course the 2026 NFL Draft Bible with over 500 in-depth scouting reports. So for $20, you get a $75 value. You get the book, you get the Canadips, you got the NFL Draft Bible, you get all of our premium content. Okay, and more importantly, you support independent media because we are not the mainstream, and we're trying to get a super producer to help produce the show and make the show even greater. So if you want to show your support, that's one way to do it. We also have some YouTube shout outs that you can do and subscribe there. I'm still figuring that out myself, quite honestly. If you're on Facebook, I know you can throw us some hearts. But if you really want to support the show, go over to allaccessfootball.com, subscribe with our promo discount, RICVIP. And Neil has been ever so kind. We're going to do it while supplies last. You see them stacked up behind me. So we're going to give these bad boys away with your membership over at allaccessfootball.com. So we appreciate all the love and support. We appreciate Canadips for getting behind the show. And of course, Neil Stratton for also supporting the show. And thank you all for tuning in. Whether you subscribe or not, I appreciate you being here, listening to what we have to say when it comes to the football universe. And we cover it all here. We had Evan Wilsmore from the Indoor Football League earlier this week. We had our good friend Mike Kelly, the new commissioner of the Continental Football League, kicking off in the summer of 2026. Of course, Howard Balzer checked in yesterday on Wednesday's show. Each and every Wednesday, celebrating 50 years of covering the NFL draft. And Will McDonald will be with us tomorrow from AtlantaFalcons.com, the senior editor there. And we'll also have Jason B. Hirschborn from The Leap, who covers the Packers. So we'll do the Packers update and the Falcons bye-week update tomorrow. Today, we got the Chicago Bears lowdown from our guest, Ben Devine. And always great to see Adams Exploits, longtime listener to the show. Always happy to see familiar faces. And, hey, can we pop that up? There you go. Look at that. There you go, Adam. I'm doing a great job self-producing. I appreciate it, man. But we're trying to get better over here. And we appreciate the comments, too, all the love, all the support from all of you guys here on our 32nd edition of the All Access Football Daily Show. We're here live each and every day, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. You're home for real football talk. Now, when I tell you I got a lot of news and notes to get to in the last segment, uh, it's a laundry list of notes. We got NFL news and notes, injury updates, Thursday night football predictions. We're 37-25 against the spread year to date. We're going to try to get a W on the board on this Thursday night football affair between the San Francisco 49ers at LA Rams. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk about it and be about it. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. All right, RIC, and the place to be. Back at it again here on the All Access Football Daily Show, and I seem to say it every day. The hour of power just flies by here. I love talking football with you. It is your home for real football talk. Last segment we just had around the NCAA landscape, some injury updates, NFL draft reports, and in the A block, we started off with our special guest of the day, Ben Devine at Chicago_NFL. And I'm telling you, he's locked in, folks. He is beating all of the Chicago reporters to the punch when it comes to top storylines, scoops, especially the NFL draft season. Our good friend Ben Devine, outstanding stuff in the A block. And we'll be isolating that interview for you to digest over on the YouTube channel. It's something we've started doing a couple weeks ago. We're in our second month, our 32nd episode here on the All Access Football Daily Show, but we are now isolating all of our guest interviews over on the YouTube channel. So definitely, if you're a Chicago Bears fan or you want to learn more about the Ben Johnson experience and how that team is trending as they get ready to take on the Washington Commanders in week number 6, check it out. And we'll have Ben back on down the road for sure. All right. Yesterday we had Howard Balzer. Tuesday we had Evan Wilsmore of the Indoor Football League. And we got some more guests tomorrow. Will McFadden from AtlantaFalcons.com, senior editor, and Ben Johnson, who publishes The Leap, with the Packers and Falcons update tomorrow. All right, I told you I got a lot of NFL news and notes to get to, and I mean business when I say that. So let's dive into it, shall we? We'll wrap things up with the Thursday night football prediction. But first, news and notes from the National Football League. Lamar Jackson, two-time MVP of the National Football League, did not practice yesterday, and it's now looking like he's trending towards being out this week due to that hamstring injury. All right. If he is unable to go, it will be Cooper Rush making the start against the Houston Texans, who are coming in riding high off of their big win. And don't look now, but I mean the Ravens are in trouble. And I told you they're hanging on by a thread in my NFL power rankings. I got them slotted at number 10, but I'll tell you, they are trending in the wrong direction, as is this hamstring injury for Lamar Jackson. They've got Houston this week and then the Rams in week 6. So hopefully Lamar Jackson can get right for the showdown with Matthew Stafford and company, who's going to be in action tonight. We'll get to that, like I said, later on. But Cooper Rush, he did have 14 starts in his Dallas Cowboys career and did quite well. Went 9-5 as a starter. And if you wonder, like, what does Cooper Rush look like over the course of a full NFL season? Well, I went back and looked at his career stats, and over the course of his career, he's basically gotten a full season's worth of stats: 557 passing attempts, 339 completions for 3,515 passing yards. And that's about what you get in a regular football season. 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So, if Cooper Rush can hold it down for a week until Lamar Jackson gets back, they might be okay. But they really need a W. And now Cooper Rush is in a position where he's got to face a pretty solid Houston. I know their record is 1-3, but they're a pretty solid team. They were in the playoffs last year. And when they're clicking, Houston can do some damage. Just look no further than last week. Now, I did see Dan Orlovsky posted a video about the Baltimore Ravens on 1st and 2nd down, and maybe the Derrick Henry fumble Ruski woes have something to do with this, but they are dead last, 32nd in the NFL in terms of running the ball on 1st and 2nd down, which you wouldn't think so with Derrick Henry, but maybe it's a product of a lot of 8-man fronts. Maybe it's the product of his fumbling situation. Is there a lack of confidence there? Now, when they do run it on 1st and 2nd down, they're averaging 6 yards per carry. So just a little storyline to keep an eye on there against Houston this week. And they'll be stacking the box even more now with Cooper Rush in the saddle. So that's your Baltimore Ravens update. Of course, they got the Texans this week, Rams next week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to get ready to do battle with the Seattle Seahawks. And this is just another banged up team. We've talked about it at length here on the show. Baker Mayfield now did not practice yesterday. Remember back in week 3, he was held out of practice with a foot and a toe injury. Well, this week he's got a knee and a right biceps injury, that Baker Mayfield. Now, it doesn't appear that this is going to be a significant injury where he's going to miss time. But, man, the Baker magical mystical Mayfield, he's taking a beating here early on in the season. Knee injury, right biceps. Sounds like he's going to give it a go. But, Tampa Bay had 9 players that they had to hold out of practice yesterday, and 16 of them on the injured report. So, I mean, that's a third of your roster is on the injury report. So, Tampa Bay all banged up as they head into Seattle. Never an easy place to play. And, they've had a tough schedule, and it doesn't get easier because next week they got the 49ers, and then they're at Detroit in week 7. So Baker Mayfield should be good to go. And yes, he did ball out against the Eagles, Adam. And I'll tell you what, that was a phenomenal game. You got the special teams playing a huge role, and the Eagles with a big blocked punt after the 2 blocked field goals. And we talked about it with Howard Balzer. The special teams play has made a huge impact in this NFL. So we'll see if Baker can withstand the beatdowns as the hits roll on here. Now, some positive news. Jaden Daniels, he has been medically cleared. He'll be a full participant We mentioned they're going to face the Chicago Bears next week as Chicago comes off the bye week. They're at the LA Chargers this week. And now it looks like Daniels, is going to play, and he's been medically cleared, full participant in practice. All indications are he will be a go for the Chargers. They're still waiting to get back medical opinions on Terry McLaurin. I don't think McLaurin will play this week, but at least it's a step in the right direction for Washington as they get healthier here for their matchup against the Chargers. Okay. JJ McCarthy, he has entered the next phase of his rehab. Of course, Minnesota out there in London this week. In Dublin the week before, you saw McCarthy on the sidelines with the headset on. I didn't think he was going to make the trip overseas. So apparently, I guess he could do his rehab overseas. And head coach Kevin O'Connell saying he has now entered the next phase of rehab, which means he's probably a week or two away from returning to the starting lineup. And you'll get that exhilarating QB matchup in London between Dylan Gabriel and Carson Wentz. Boy, oh boy, it's the game we've all been looking forward to, right? Speaking of the Brownies, Shedeur Sanders interview. Did you see this one yesterday? So he did a mute interview when he was asked questions. The lips were moving, but no voice came out. And so this is the latest attempt. I don't know what he's attempting actually at this point, but this is the latest shenanigans from Shedeur Sanders. And I'm just curious, like the Browns PR and communications department, why are they allowing a huddle of reporters around his locker each day? Like, I don't know any other team that makes their third string quarterback so available. Like, I haven't heard a single peep out of Jameis Winston, and New York is a team with quarterback issues, and you don't hear anything from Jameis Winston. I don't know any third string quarterback who has made as much noise as Shedeur Sanders. Now, he's in a little bit of a rough spot because no matter what he does, he's under the microscope. He's not going to do any right in the eyes of the media. If he did a normal interview, I'm sure they would have took a soundbite and turned it into another storyline. But Shedeur Sanders, for being a third string quarterback, he sure makes a lot of noise, doesn't he? And there was some speculation yesterday that maybe Dylan Gabriel was talking to Shedeur Sanders during his media presser, and he stated, hey, if you wait for the perfect time, you're going to be waiting a lifetime. And Dylan Gabriel now will get the start in place of Jersey Joe Flacco again in that London affair on Sunday, 9 a.m., which means I guess tomorrow I got to give you a prediction for that one. We got the Thursday night football prediction coming up here in just a few minutes. Just some other things to get to. Matt Milano and Ed Oliver returned to practice for the Buffalo Bills. They've been sorely lacking those two in the middle of their defense there. And we'll see if they're able to give it a go this week for the Buffalo Bills. Also, did you guys see Xavier Howard? Man, the NFL is a pressure cooker, right? I mean, and Xavier Howard has been taking some heat. And he's been taking a lot of criticism up there in Indianapolis. Of course, the 4-time Pro Bowler and 1-time All-Pro has made quite a name for himself in the NFL, but he had struggled mightily this year. And this past week, he allowed 7 completions on 10 targets for 112 yards and a touchdown. And on the season, he's allowed 14 completions on 20 targets for 183 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's also been flagged for 4 penalties. And the noise maybe just too much for Xavier Howard, because yesterday he was not out there on practice. The Indianapolis Colts announcing that Xavier Howard has decided to hang up the cleats mid-season. NFL's a pressure cooker, boy. So he did cite that he's been closer with God and that his children are more important. Family comes first. So Xavier Howard walks away from the remaining $1.25 million left on his contract. If you can't take the heat, they often say, get out of the kitchen. All right. One last item here that I want to just point out. And this one should be easy to find on the Twitter X platform. Steve Spagnuolo, and it's just relevant here on the show because we just had Howard Balzer on yesterday. And we talked about PFF grades, right? And Steve Spagnuolo was asked about PFF grades yesterday and basically echoed what Howard and myself said. Hey, they got a lot of great information, very valuable tool. But if you're putting any emphasis or stock in these PFF grades, which people do so often in the mainstream, Spag's point was like, hey, I don't know how you can grade a guy on every play when you don't know what his assignment is. Now, to end the press conference, Spags was asked about how he scouts the opponents. And he says, well, I watch the film and I give him a grade. So basically, you're doing the same thing that PFF does. But, listen, I don't know what it all means in the grand scheme of things. One, I love PFF. I love the situational breakdowns, the stats, the data, the film access, but I do not even look at PFF grades. So anyway, that caused a little bit of a stir amongst the Twitter X community there. All right. Now, we're down to the end of the show, which means it's time for the Thursday night football prediction. And thank you so much for chiming in on the show, Adam. Maybe you can pave the way for others, but Jersey Joe Flacco keeps on ticking. South Jersey, native from Adams' neck of the woods, trained at Test Football Academy. Jersey's still hanging up there. And yes, the 49ers and the Buccaneers both really banged up in that NFC playoff picture. And speaking of the 49ers, we got Thursday night football tonight, 8:15 on Amazon Prime. By the way, I watched the alternate stream, the next gen stats stream, and behind the camera angle last week. Just a completely different viewing experience. I encourage all of you to say, yeah. Greg Cosell always says that when discussing his film analysis. He says he doesn't know their assignment. Yeah, well, it's true, and you got to take that into consideration. I mean, I think it goes a long way. Thursday night football, San Francisco 3-1 at the LA Rams 3-1. Check out the next gen stream, the alternate stream there. You get the back of the end zone view. It's just such a better viewing experience. I don't know why more networks don't do that, but I'll be tuned into that again. And this one now, it started off at 5.5. Last night it was up to 7.5. This morning now 8.5. The LA Rams are favored. The over under 44.5. And this line's been moving because Brock Purdy toe, Ricky Pearsall knee, and Juwan Jennings hip and ankle are all out for the 49ers. And we talked about it with Howard yesterday. The short turnaround week makes it very difficult for these injured players to get right and get tight. And Mac Jones will get the start here for San Francisco. On the LA Rams side of the ball, offensive lineman Rob Havenstein and tight end Taylor Higbee will be out. Now, San Francisco leads the all-time series 77 wins to 70 losses and 3 ties in 150 meetings between these two franchises. Now, the Rams have won the last 3, including that playoff game back on January 30th. They won 20-17. They also beat the Rams back in December in a 12-6 low-scoring affairs. So Matthew Stafford, we talked about it, 50 game-winning drives. Puka Nacua on target for 1,964 yards. He's chasing 2,000. He's got 503 yards through 4 games. Jake Tongas, look out for him. He's emerged as a playmaking tight end in place of George Kittle there for San Francisco. He had a 58-yard catch, a second career touchdown last week. I look for Tongas to have a bigger role as the season goes on, even if and when Kittle comes back. And Christian McCaffrey, he's just doing C-Mac things. He looks like his vintage self again. 225 rushing yards on the season, 305 receiving yards on the year. And, we talked about Nick Bosa out for the season. Well, in comes Bryce Huff. He stepped up big time. He's got a sack in 2 of his 3 last games. And on the Rams side of the ball, Jared Verse will look for his 3rd straight game with a sack. Now, I loved it at 5.5. I even liked it at 7.5. Now it's up to 8.5. I'm going to stick with my gut here and go with the LA Rams. I think they're going to win this game handedly. I know Mac Jones played well, 3 touchdown passes in his last start. San Francisco finds a way to keep these games close, so I don't feel great about the 8.5. But give me the LA Rams, 23-13, 10-point double-digit victory for the Rams. And it could be a little bit lower scoring than that based on the previous games these guys have played. But I'm going to go the Rams official selection -8.5 over the San Francisco 49ers. And this could have playoff implications, divisional home field advantage implications come playoff time. 49ers, Rams, both 3-1, going down on Amazon Prime tonight at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. 37-25 on the record. Hopefully we get another dub here on the books for you. And that's about it for the hour of power here on the All Access Football Daily Show. I hate when the show comes to a close. Maybe we'll expand the show to 2 hours down the road. Don't forget about our promo giveaway. If you go over to allaccessfootball.com, use our promo code RICVIP. That'll get your All Access annual pass down to $20. You get the NFL Draft Bible, all of our insider content, and we will give you a free Value Picks book courtesy of Neil Stratton when you subscribe, and a pack of Canadips courtesy of Canadips.com. $75 value for $20 if you want to help support the show. And we appreciate all the love and support. Big shout out to Adam Exploits for lighting up the chat room. We love to get interactive. We love the questions, feedback, comments, concerns. Great spot out of Ben Devine to kick off the show. We'll isolate that over on the YouTube channel. And then tomorrow we'll have Will McFadden from the AtlantaFalcons.com and Jason B. Hirschbaum from the Leap. And we're going to get it all in again tomorrow. We've got 5 games on the docket for the college football Friday night lights. I'll give you a name you need to know for the NFL draft radar in each one of those matchups. We'll get our London game on the books. And of course, we'll be back with some more NFL, NCAA, world of football updates right here on the All Access Football Daily Show. It is your home for real football talk. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, and we thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.